Is Johnny. Today we're going to discuss the consumption in modern societies. We are given this chance to start our presentations by asking you one simple question. Where would you like to go during Christmas holiday? We found a very interesting online article to describe the choices of holiday destinations for the people working in Central could reflect their social status. Traveling to Switzerland seems having a better taste than traveling to China, right? The word taste is a very problematic term. In the coming slide, I'm going to use the quote from Pierre Bourdieu to explain to you. He said that taste classifies, it classifies the classifiers. By looking at this sentence, it is separated into two clauses. The first half, taste classifies, which is a self-explanatory, that something called taste is putting people into different groups, give them different labels and identities. But the question is, what is taste? According to Bourdieu, taste is an acquired disposition to differentiate and appreciate. He rejects the notion of genuine good taste that something we take it for granted and seldom challenge it, as he believed no knowledge is neutral, as our early internalization and socialization have major impacts on how we construct the world. And this knowledge is already governed by underlying power relations. That the habitus is acquired, but after some time has become durably incorporated into the body and in the form of permanent dispositions. Therefore, it creates legitimate taste, which is the taste of the dominant class, and mass taste. Mass taste is often seen as low culture of no values. So in these lines, you will see the quote, and I will explain the second half of the sentence. Let's move to another slide. It classifies the classifier is actually a reciprocal system. When you are defining others, you are defined. You make distinctions more distinctive, and by doing so, you reinforce others' class position at the same time your own position. Taste put differences inscribed in the physical order of bodies into the symbolic expression of significant distinctions and the class division. To acquire a taste, no matter it is good taste or bad taste, in Bourdieu's perspective, you have certain types of capital. They are economic, social, and cultural. Economic capital means how much do you have, what you have. Social capital focuses on your education and your personal network, who you know. And cultural capital is a bit ambiguous, is what you have. For example, do you have the common language that they speak? All these three capital working together in defining one's position. The more capital you have, the more powerful you can be. And our team will use travel as an example to illustrate how taste can be used as a class indicator.
I'm Ronald, and I'm going to talk about the travel flights of transportation in the travel experience. Flights arrangement is always the key pin of your whole travel experience for visitors traveling to all over the world from the start till the end. According to Pierre Bourdieu, consumption is a representation of economical differences, as well as social and cultural practice that establish differences between social groups. So, no matter who is of any class, they will show their unique way of life through various consumptions, saying that they are not the same as others. Taking airlines are frequently used as transportation when traveling overseas, with there are over 500 airlines is operating. But different class of people will choose different kind of airlines like royal and budget airlines. Travelers might experience also differently in services, safety, and time arrangement. First, I would like to share about the huge differences on airlines ticket price. Indeed, we could see that budget airline got a much cheaper price than the Royal Airline in same destination. So it's an illustration of different class of experience can be determined by the level of economic capital, like financial resources. Indeed, tourists with higher economical capital can afford the more expensive Royal Airline price to enjoy better cabin, VIP services, flexibility of time, and safer experience. However, tourists with lower economical capital can only pay for the cheaper budget airline price to experience an ordinary in-flight and airport journey. Accidental experience for members and non-members when taking flight is another point to share inside traveling or examples. Social capital, like having airline memberships, can distinguish the class differences and tastes from space and habitants in the examples of traveling. Not only competing in material advantage, but also a right to control the legitimacy of the entire field. For examples, travelers with membership like in Marco Polo Club inherited from families or credential networks from social capital. They could really enjoy the good services and VIP airport shit and also prior boarding when they're taking flights. However, if you got no membership and network, you could only go for ordinary experience in flight and also airport services and journey. Talking about education as inherited taste and class is always a way to from inherited from families and social groups in key elements of traveling experience to explain taste classifier and it classified classifier. Like when education, your family always talk about safety, membership, and cultural ideas in sustained classes and tastes from you. So you would definitely know about that. And the cultural consumption reflects the classes of social groups, and they want to seek identity within classes by pursuing similar cultural consumption oriented from education to sustain. As well, it is also exercised through the acquisition of a common language. Education is one of the possible ways to learn such language. So often cultural capital is often a combination of economic and social capital and discussed on the basis of these two. Finally, we'd like to talk about the cultural differences in selecting flights. The consumption pattern is not only used to mark the differences between social groups, but also to produce and regenerate social relationships. For example, like additional criteria in choosing airlines and in-flight meals. With higher cultural capital in selecting airlines, showcasing criteria in class and taste like considering the CSR and also low carbon projects from the airlines rather than that. But with lower cultural capital selecting airlines, they would just purely to its own consideration in travel plans and other capitals involved. Like having higher cultural capital will order much better in-flight meals, like the Singapore Airlines, they got to book the Coke examples. However, the lower cultural capital ones were not considered.
No matter where we are traveling, visiting the famous tourist attractions of the cities or country becomes one of the must-do things for every visitors all over the world. In the following sections, I want to distinguish different classes of traveling activities in accordance to the three capitals: economic capital, cultural capital, and social capital with concrete examples provided. Let's do a time travel and imagine we are now in Paris. Eiffel Tower is one of the most popular architecture in the world. Therefore, this is a must-go place for us when we are now in Paris. However, the visiting experience may vary for different visitors. For example, visitors who are getting fast pass and also normal tickets. Let's recap what is economic capital. They are the material assets that can be immediately and directly convertible into money. When we look at the ticket price from official website, it's only costing 25.5 euro. When we look at the ticket from Klook, which can skip the line, it's costing 50 euro, which is a double of the original price. This can also show the different class of experience by the economic capital for customers who are buying the fast pass and also the official price. Tourists with a higher economic capital who can afford a more expensive ticket price will go for the skip the line ticket, which can enjoy a more comfortable visiting experience, while tourists with a lower economic capital can only pay for the normal ticket price €25.5 to experience a really ordinary visiting journey, which may have to queue for a really long time. Going on to cultural capital. When we are planning for a travel, we usually prepare a bucket list that we want to do in the city or in the country. This can also reflect the difference of cultural capital. For example, the people visiting with Disneyland definitely have a different level of cultural capital for people who are visiting museum. According to the definition from Pierre Bourdieu on cultural capital, people with higher cultural capital have a higher educational and cultural backgrounds, which enable them to appreciate the art pieces and understand the values behind, which they tend to visit museums when they pay the visit to Paris to appreciate different art pieces and enhance their cultural capital. However, people with lower cultural capital may not have sufficient knowledge to appreciate the art pieces or to understand it. They would rather to go to somewhere for fun. Therefore, they would tend to visit Disneyland in Paris or other amusement park for relaxation. Even we are going to the same city or even the same attractions, it doesn't mean that all of us have the same purpose of visiting that place or that spot. The level of cultural capital can actually reflect the purpose of visiting a tourist attraction, whether you are looking for a guided tour to take an in-depth look at the architecture or attraction spot, or you are just looking for a place to take a good photo and share it on social media. Imagine every one of us are visiting Palace Versailles. Are you the one with a higher cultural capital which are looking for an in-depth visit of the spot to truly understand the history or values behind, which they will look for a guided tour to have expert in explaining every details to them? Or we are just the kind of tourists who possess a lower cultural capital, which have less interest in appreciating the structure or to understand the values of the architecture. Instead, they will rather to look for the good photo taking spot to take photo and do a check-in on social media. This already tells that two different levels of cultural capital can reflect on the purpose of visiting the same attraction spot. Whenever we plan for a vacation, there must be a reason for us to visit a city, and how we visit around a city varies from different people. Social capital would be one of the determinators to distinguish the differences. For example, some of the people with higher social capital may go for a city to visit friends, while some of the people with lower social capital may just to visit a place for a personal interest. Assuming we are now still in Paris, before going on, let's recap social capital. Social capital means the possession of a network of relationship which provides its members with a credential. People with high level of social capital who are going to Paris maybe just to catch up with their friends to meet their friends over there. People with low level of social capital may be going Paris just for shopping, so have a good food over there to have a relaxing vacation. While in forms of the formats of visiting, people with friends in Paris may have locals to drive them around the cities to visit some places that are only well known among French, while people who do not have friends over there with a lower level of social capital may only be able to join the local tour or some activities in order to have locals showing you around the city, which may only show the tourist spots to them as well. So your social capital can actually determine the questions of why travel and how to travel.
I would like to talk about how the eating habit when traveling to distinguish classes. We will discuss how the economic, cultural, and social capital affect the eating habit of people, as well as how do the eating habit distinguish classes, and this slide shows the theories that we applied. Firstly, let's talk about the economic capital. If you have more economic capital, which means you have more money, there are more choices in choosing foods or restaurants, because when deciding what to eat, money is not your great concern. Hence, how and what you choose to eat in some ways are determined by your economic capital. So we like to compare having street-side snacks or having fine dining traveling in distinguished different classes. People with low economic capital, they are more willing to enjoy the street-side snacks because foods are cheaper and affordable, and the food and the culture are more familiar with their lifestyle. But those with higher capital, they may think that street food are cheap and dirty and not suitable for their identities. Everyone knows that enjoying fine dining in some five-star restaurants are very expensive. So those with lower economic capital may not be affordable or willing to spend too much money on eating fine dining when traveling. But for those with higher economic capital, they are more willing to pay to enjoy better food, because when they go traveling, they don't care about spending how much money. What they concern is whether they can enjoy life, the quality of life. Besides, healthy eating may be imported as a marker of social class. It means what you choose to eat also classified your class. According to the theory of Bourdieu, compared to high socioeconomic groups, low socioeconomic groups typically engage more in unhealthy behaviors, such as unhealthy food choices. Hence, those with lower economic capital class will choose foods depending on lower prices or tastes, but not the nutrition values. But for those with higher economic capital, they will find some organic food with nutrition values no matter how expensive for the cost. In cultural capital, we will mainly be focusing on the purpose of traveling to there to eat. We think both high and low cultural capital people may also go there to travel because of the food festival, but still there are differences between them. For the high cultural capital group, they know the true culture or the meaning of the food festival. But for low cultural capital group, they don't know the true meaning of the festival, only want to go there to enjoy the food and also the atmosphere of the festival, or go there to take photos. For the Michelin restaurant, we think that people with high cultural capital will choose to try Michelin restaurant because they can distinguish the quality of food. Also, they may go to the restaurant because of the chef or special dishes, so they think that it's worth to spend money on it. But for those with low cultural capital, because they may not have any idea about the culture or the famous food of the place, so most of them will follow the recommendations from tourist book, and some of them have no special planning or preferences in eating. They may just find a nearby restaurant to eat. For the cultural capital, I would like to talk more about the food tourism. It is the explorations of food as the purpose of tourism. For people with low cultural capital, they may be more willing to join the food tour, so they can shop and eat like locals rather than rely on tourist traps. But we think both high and low cultural capital may join, but what they experienced from it or the purpose of joining are different. For example, home dinner at locals' home. For people with low cultural capital, they may just want to experience and have fun with locals. But for those with high cultural capital, they may wish to exchange culture, especially the food culture. They may discuss how the sort of food they and their family eat differs from the food generally offered to tourists in restaurants. For cooking classes, mostly as short lessons for about a few hours or full-day classes. People join the class will learn how to cook the local dishes, and some may include market tours to enhance the cultural experience. For people with low cultural capital, they may just want to enjoy the fun time of learning to cook the cuisine. But for those with high cultural capital, they may wish to learn and also exchange cooking skills, knowledge, and the culture with the locals instead of just having fun. Finally, we would like to talk about the social capital. If you have higher social capital, maybe when you go traveling, you can enjoy some food that others cannot have the chance to try, or go to some place that others cannot go there, or you can go to some place that no need cleaning up with others because you may know the manager of the restaurant, so that you can enjoy some VIP's experience like enjoying the special dishes or VIP room, etc. But for those people with low social capital, they may need to cleaning up for a long time because they don't know the boss or the manager of the restaurant, and no one will reserve the table for them. And they may need to sit with the other customer in a public area instead of having a VIP room to sit.
Thanks, Vicky. Right now, I would like to talk about in-depth travel for illustrating the taste of people. So when you think of a purpose to go on a trip, when you decided to go on a trip, what will you think of? Local experience, to experience the local culture, shopping, or taking a break. It's all about money and time when you have spent in your travel. Some people would like to choose in-depth travel as the forms of their preferable travel ways. It remarks a taste inherited in people. We will discuss how people experience in-depth travel in the forms of economic capital, cultural capital, and also social capital. Let's take traveling to Europe as an example. From the perspective of economic capital, Europe is a place that remarks luxurious traveling. Upper-class people would like to travel to Europe twice or triple times when they are deciding to go on an in-depth travel, because in-depth travel will cost many times that people would like to know about deeply about the culture. For only one time, they don't even have enough time to experience deeply about the cities and countries. In this case, they will buy time to enjoy their long trip. Typical examples like annual leave application can reflect their determination in traveling. Usually when we decided to visit Europe, the shortest period of time would be 2 weeks or 3 weeks, which including the dates of flight, which means they spend a lot of time and money on it. From the perspective of cultural capital, people who are well educated would prefer slow pace, leisure, and private traveling experience to learn about the culture of specific countries. The experience background was inherited to let cultural experience involving in travel. Let's take Sagrada Familia in Spain as an example. This is a yet-to-be-finished architecture. The structural forms and designs, beautiful structure standard in town, is created by one of the greatest architects called Antoni Gaudi. It is the celebration and presentation of nature from using different kinds of cultures elements like myth, God story, and religion. People tend to spend 2 to 3 times for a deeper appreciation, like their culture, history, and art. When you're deciding to go on an in-depth travel, people will either choose group travel or a solo travel. When joining as a group, people may choose adventure groups, local tours, and also social connection. For adventure groups, people with different kind of cultures and background, different thoughts will come together to form a strong group for adventures. For the local tours, they experience culture, habits, and history by tour guide and local people. Enjoying all the interested parties together all over the world by the means of social media like Facebook, IG, and travel blogs will build a strong social connection. From the other hand, people may like to experience in-depth travel by solo travel in the forms of like weekend getaway, like prefer spending the holidays in weekend to relax themselves by visiting a small country. And also, they would like to challenge themselves by using their courage, their determination to visit a country that have never been to embrace unknown and uncertainties, at the same time to challenge themselves. They can also follow their own pace and rhythm. It will be better for them to easy to plan a trip when following for their own habits and with them. Sometimes it also allows people to experience more by the solo experiencing.
So, will we choose Airbnb or hotel? What factors affect our decisions? Airbnb is a new sharing economy which redefined the class. In the past, the class always defined by how the service or convenience is your hotel. If your hotel is located at the CBD of the city, you may be a high-class person. However, nowadays, the class is defined by how spectacular or special is your Airbnb. If your taste is good, you may be able to find some good Airbnb in the countryside. The taste is now defined by the cultural capital and the social capital, rather than the economic capital. If you even love pets, you may not be able to find pets from the hotel staff. However, you can find it from the host of your Airbnb. It is also one of the concerns of the modern people when they are traveling, because pets is the best friend of human. This is the house I had lived in Sydney, Australia. You can see how spectacular this house is. I can't imagine I can live in such a house if I'm still staying in Hong Kong, working in Hong Kong. However, I can choose a lifestyle outside Hong Kong when I'm traveling. So, to choose an Airbnb is also to choose the lifestyle you would like to live in at that time, at that moment to shape another you. I can also play with the dog of the host. This dog is quite lovely. This is the most expensive hotel I have lived in. It's located at the central of the London in UK. You can see it's around £500 per night. It's the cheapest Airbnb I have lived in. It's located in the countryside of Abaigeta, actually on the mountain. But the view is really good. I can see the sunrise and sunset every day. I can have a beer. I can bath in front of the mountain. It is the most relaxing hotel I have lived in. It's located in Fiji. It's a gold resort and spa. You can see all the relaxing activities I can enjoy there. And it's not the most expensive one. It is the most local Airbnb I have lived in. It's located in the Takamatsu city, Japan. You can see I can sleep on the tatami. It's really local. And I even played the PS4 with the host at the video game room. However, if I don't know anything, how can I pick up immediately, just like a cup of noodle? Then you should find some travel expert to help you. In recent years, a lot of young professionals, they try to step out of their comfort zone and try to explore this world, and they share their experience to all their friends on the YouTube, IG, or other platform. Travel expert can upgrade your cultural capital immediately because they would like to share their experience with you. Their connection with locals, they know which place to eat, to shop, to live, and how to enjoy the trip, which you can't find from the books. And before the trip, you can have a very good planning, and you can even discuss with your travel partners, maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend. However, sometimes these travel experts may work with the travel agencies such as Expedia, so they may not be totally objective or reliable. Let's see these Instagram photos. These perhaps other places you and I never been there. However, they're really spectacular and worth going.